While SYFS is a private nonprofit agency, we continue to enjoy a productive public partnership with the town of Shrewsbury. This relationship has allowed us to provide high-quality social services to our residents in a very cost-effective manner. We appreciate the support we have received from the town over these past 34 years. For this current fiscal year, through the support of the town manager, the Board of Selectmen, and the Finance Committee, town meeting appropriated $75,000 for our agency. We are grateful for this continued funding. Without this financial support from the town, it would not be possible for the agency to deliver the wide range of services that residents expect and demand. To meet the ever-increasing need in our community, our budget has needed to grow, and through the generosity of so many individuals and businesses, many of whom are here this morning, we continue to be able to deliver counseling and social services to our residents. Many of you support the agency through our annual appeal and/or by attending our annual gala. This year, we are holding our gala event called An Evening of Giving on May 19th at the Haven Country Club in Boylston. More details to follow in the coming weeks. But thank you for your continued financial support of Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services. From a Board of Directors standpoint, as we look back on the agency's fiscal year that ended on June 30th, we have many accomplishments that we are very proud of as we carried out our mission to provide counseling and other supportive services to members of our community. Again, I hope you have an opportunity to review the annual report as it provides details on our level of services. A key value of the agency is to ensure that residents of Shrewsbury have access to affordable, quality counseling using evidence-based and research-supported practices. The agency employs licensed mental health counselors to provide counseling services. But as you review the level of services provided, as outlined in the annual report, it's extremely important to recognize that we could not provide the wide range of services without the dedication and commitment of our skilled graduate-level clinical interns. And I should say, they are all unpaid interns. Our interns were at the foyer this morning greeting you as you came in. In addition to working in the schools in the Shrewsbury Housing Authority, our interns meet with clients in our office at 240 Maple Avenue. We are also pleased that a number of our senior citizen clients from the Shrewsbury Housing Authority Towers Apartments are with us this morning. They've been here for several years, so welcome and we're glad you're here. As part of this morning's agenda, you'll be hearing more about our programs from Christine Mowry, our interim executive director. Christine is a Shrewsbury resident and is in her third year of working at the agency. She brings a high level of dedication, skill, and passion to her work. The Board of Directors, along with staff, recently completed a strategic planning initiative. The effort started in the spring and concluded this past fall. The process included time to validate and refresh our mission statement. From there, we developed an environmental scan where we looked at our internal capabilities, primarily concentrating on programs and services, financial strength, and physical office space. The next task was to identify those external forces impacting our small, private, outpatient social service counseling agency. This included a thoughtful review of fundraising, grants, and the importance of continued financial support from the town of Shrewsbury. We then moved on to identifying what we called emerging issues. From the client perspective, we identified the increasing volume and intensity of services needed for behavioral health, including the recognition that the level of intensive services for children is growing, especially as it relates to anxiety and depression. We also identified the growing diversity in Shrewsbury and how this requires new and increased cultural competencies on the part of staff, especially our clinical staff. We also acknowledge a growing statewide shortage of licensed clinicians. Locally, we realize there are many prospective clients here in Shrewsbury that are not aware of the comprehensive level of services that SYFS provides. Finally, we moved on to identifying strategic imperatives to provide direction for the agency consistent with our mission, vision, and values. 6 strategic imperatives were identified to work on over the next 4 years. First, clarify and strengthen the SYFS identity within the community. Second, provide programs that meet the needs of the community. Third, achieve diversity in all aspects of programming, staffing, and governance. Fourth, ensure that the facility and technology meet agency needs. 5, define and secure stable and predictable sources of revenue. 6, retain and recruit a committed workforce and effective board. I will briefly discuss the 4th strategic imperative relative to ensuring our facility meets the needs of the agency. Over the 34 years that SYFS has served Shrewsbury, physical space has been a continual challenge. For many years, the town provided free space at Beale, Coolidge, and Parker Road school buildings, but as school enrollments grew, the space was understandably needed for classrooms. For the past 15 years, our office has been located at 240 Maple Ave in a building owned by UMass Medical School. The facility is very small, approximately 1,300 square feet. UMass has been a very good landlord. In recognizing our limited financial resources, they have certainly provided a subsidized rent. While you may have seen that there is a handicap ramp leading into the building is not in compliance with handicapped accessibility codes. Not only does this impact our ability to serve clients, it also limits our grant funding opportunities, as so many require that the facility be handicapped accessible. As many of you are also aware, we have explored different moves in town, but for a variety of reasons, they have not worked out. However, we are optimistic that in the coming weeks, we should finalize discussions with UMass Medical School to move in to a fully handicapped accessible building that sits just a few hundred yards from our present location. The building is known as the Higgins Building. It is presently vacant and offers nearly 3,500 square feet, but more importantly, already contains private offices that are required for the confidential nature of the counseling and social services that we provide. The building also has space to provide for group sessions. The effectiveness of group therapy is both cost-effective and supported by evidence-based research. While the building does need some minor repair work, it is basically in move-in condition. While we will experience a significant rent increase, along with increased utility and operational costs, the board and agency leadership recognize that the move is necessary if we are going to meet both the current and future demand for services within the community. Needless to say, we are very excited about this development. At this time, I am pleased to introduce our next speaker. Earlier in my remarks, I mentioned the generosity of so many people in the room who have supported our agency. Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito is certainly a familiar face here in Shrewsbury. As a lifelong resident, former town meeting member, and former member of the Board of Selectmen. And Karen has been a longtime supporter of SYFS, including serving on our Board of Directors. In 2002, the then State Representative Karen Polito started a charity golf tournament to benefit SYFS in Westboro Food Pantry. Karen continued this charity golf tournament for the 10 years she served as state representative. Her successor in the State House, Matt Beaton, continued the golf tournament for the 3 years that he served as state representative. Matt added St. Anne's Food Pantry as a recipient of the proceeds as well. This past August, Representative Hannah Kane held her third charity classic to again benefit the 3 nonprofits. Over the 16 years of the Charity Golf Classic, these 3 individuals and their supporters and volunteers have raised nearly $500,000 to support SYFS, St. Anne's Human Services, and the Westboro Food Pantry. And it all started back in 2002 when Karen held the initial tournament. At that time, when asked by a local reporter what motivated her to hold the charity golf tournament, Karen replied, "I feel responsible as a citizen to use the resources available to me to make life better for someone else." Karen's commitment to her community and SYFS was officially recognized in 2005 when she was the recipient of the Harry S. Cutting Award for her outstanding contributions to the agency and the residents of Shrewsbury. Please welcome Lieutenant Governor Karen Pallese.
Good morning. It feels so good to be home with all of you in this very special room. This is a first for me to gather in this space, and I'm sure that you will enjoy this area for many events like this and others. It's really, really special. And thank you for those nice words. You brought me back down memory lane in a good journey it has been. It was an honor to serve this community back in 1995 when I first served on the Board of Selectmen, through my journey in the House of Representatives, and now to be here as your friend, most importantly, lifelong resident of this community, and now as your Lieutenant Governor. I feel so inspired again by being among you in my home, where I received an upbringing in a community that was so good to me and to my family. I just want to thank everyone for coming here for this moment. This is really important as we honor someone who is so deserving of the Harry Cutting Award, but it's also a moment for us to come together and just pause and really reflect on the great community that we all live in. And it's an opportunity to remind ourselves that it's our responsibility to work hard to make this community and others the best that they can be. I do want to thank DA Early for coming. Not sure that we caught you coming in the door, so thank you for being here. It's great to see Secretary Beaton here. You've had a busy few days. It's nice to see you have a nice morning to not have to rush into Boston today. And my colleagues in the state legislature, Representative Ferguson popped in, Senator Moore, Rep. Meridian, thank you. I know you're happy to be here out of friendship for Hannah, but also we want to thank you for your good work. When I was thinking about Shrewsbury and this organization, I think about what I do in my work now as I go into communities. I think a lot about not only the schools and that they have to be great everywhere, and the economy has to have a purpose and a way to create more jobs and opportunities for people. But the one thing that's really important in every community is its safety net. And in some places in this Commonwealth, the safety net is stronger and more resilient, and in other places, it's not. Here in Shrewsbury, you have a strong safety net. And things in terms of the vast array of problems that people are challenged with, there's a way to get services and support in this community. When I think back to 1983, when Judge Bruin challenged this community to come up with a way of better serving the youth in this community because there was a high rate of juvenile delinquency. The safety net wasn't so strong, and kids were falling through the cracks. And what Judge Bruin challenged this community to do was actually create a diversion program. And that's what the Shrewsbury Community Services actually was when it started. To make sure that kids in this community were not going through the criminal justice system, but being able to get the support and services that they need to address the problem that they were dealing with and get them on a path where they could succeed in school, succeed in this community, and succeed in life. When you think about where we are today and what Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services now looks like, you are meeting the challenges of the day. When you think about the opiate epidemic, you think about cyber bullying and all of the things that kids are challenged with today. They're very different than they were back in the 1980s. And you are rising up to the level of service that's needed in this community, and I'm very grateful to see that happening. Going back to the first award back in 1990, Harry Cutting received a recognition for his philanthropy. He was someone that had means and was able to contribute his dollars to the community through this organization to help other individuals. And all of the years, I think almost all of the years from then until now, individuals in the community have been recognized for what they've been able to do. Whatever it is that you can do, whether you have the means to contribute some of your personal treasure, or you have time to give to help another person, or you become elected to a board, or you volunteer, whatever it is if you give it, it will help to strengthen that safety net. So they were right in 1990 to figure out a way to highlight through individuals a way of saying this is important and we need to inspire more people to give of their time and their treasure. Today, we have the opportunity to acknowledge an individual who maybe Jim and Hannah can give their treasure, and they do, but really she's being acknowledged because she is a public servant. And I believe today is a really great opportunity to highlight public service. And oftentimes in the news, you don't always read about the good things that public servants are doing. You kind of see the things that aren't working so well. But here you have an individual who is an exceptional public servant, and Hannah Kane. And as I look at her family table, I can't help but look at her parents, who I feel I know because I know your daughter so well. And I want to thank you as parents for instilling in Hannah incredible values of service, of caring, of really making a priority in her own life and her family's life of giving back and making a difference. She truly has embraced that in every part of her life, and it's a true credit to you as her parents. I work with a lot of public servants, and we have a lot of very dedicated ones in this room, but Hannah certainly sets herself above and apart on many issues. As big or as small as the issue may be, she gives it 1,000%. She studies it, she researches it, she knows it. I'll give you one example, and whether you agreed with her position or not on this issue, she did an exceptional job for this Commonwealth. And that was the issue of the ballot question relative to the legalization of recreational marijuana in Massachusetts. It was an incredibly challenging issue, complicated issue. She researched it, she studied it, she knew both sides of that issue. And she campaigned with all her heart to educate and inform the people of this Commonwealth so that when they went to the voting booth, they had the right information to bring to their vote. And even though we came up on the short side of that vote, she's continued to do great work in making sure the legalization of recreational marijuana and the regulatory process is done in a way that ensures the public's safety and the public's health. So she is someone that is tireless, never gives up, and is truly committed to the people in this Commonwealth. I am so grateful for her friendship, to be able to serve with her in our roles in this Commonwealth. And as the governor said the other night in the State of the Commonwealth, we aspire for people in this Commonwealth to believe in their government. And when in the House chamber, when the governor was delivering his address, and we had people on both sides of the aisle standing up in agreement on a lot of the issues, and we don't agree on everything, it was a moment of symbolism, but a true statement about how we conduct ourselves here in this Commonwealth, with civility, with respect, with high standards, and these are the values that your state representative certainly holds in her service to this Commonwealth. Governor Baker and I are grateful for your friendship. We are so happy that you will be honored with the Harry Cutting Award for your achievements. And while this might be a pinnacle moment for you, there are many more pinnacles that you will strive to meet in your life. We are so blessed to know you, Hannah, and we're happy to give our citation to you.
This time I'd like to introduce to you our interim executive director, Christine Maury.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you all for getting up so early on this chilly winter morning to come here. I have been with the agency, as Tom said, for almost 3 years in a different role as project director for Youth Mental Health First Aid. So I'm really excited to be in this new role and to be a part of our new approach for meeting the ever-changing needs of our community. We may not all struggle with mental illness, but we do all have to be mindful of our mental health. And at SYFS, we are really working diligently to offer services that are responsive to the current needs of the community, and also to deliver powerful and effective programming in prevention, in wellness, in education, in treatment, and in positive youth development. So I'd like to share with you a little bit this morning about the work that we're actually doing, because my guess is there are many people in this room that don't really know what happens inside that little building on Maple Ave. We are supporting our schools through our Family Support Services program. That program is designed to offer families treatment, connections to other social services they may need. Our clinical interns are in our elementary schools offering social skills groups, one-on-one individual meetings, and responding to kids in crisis. We are supporting seniors in our community. As Tom mentioned, they are here with us this morning through our collaborative program called Living Your Life Well. That program is designed to promote resiliency, lower stress, help seniors find balance and harmony in their lives. And I'm so happy to have them here with us today. Thank you for that. Because 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men will experience relationship violence, SYFS has partnered with the One Love Foundation to bring education programs to our high school juniors and seniors. Patrick Duke, here with us today, our student board liaison, is one of the young people who will be working in this program with us. We're bringing programming to educate kids on what it looks like to be in a violent or abusive relationship and how to safely navigate their ways out of those relationships should they find themselves there. We are working to ensure that these kids have the happy and healthy relationships that they all deserve to have. As coordinators for the Shrewsbury Coalition for Addiction Prevention and Education, we're working diligently with a large group of contributors and community members from many different sectors to bring prevention, education, resources and information to our community around substance use and abuse. And we are working on applying for a federal grant for additional funding to help us support that very important initiative. We're expanding our clinic by hiring clinicians who not only value professionalism, but community engagement as well. Our belief is that wellness is best achieved through prevention and early intervention, And whether our clients are in need of counseling or any of the other social services that we offer, our hope is that we can provide an environment that is safe, non-judgmental, and empathetic, and that people are willing and happy to come in and be a part of where we can provide strength, support, and comfort to our community members. During the summer, our well-known You Go Girl program will run again, empowering young girls with self-esteem, leadership skills, and self-care skills. A new initiative this year, this summer will be a social emotional learning program. We don't have a name for it yet because our 8th graders are going to be coming up with that for us, but we're very excited about this program for students transitioning into middle school and into adolescence, and all that comes along with that. Students will be talking about the many changes they'll experience during this important time in their lives. They'll be learning self-confidence, managing communication skills, strengthening family skills, managing their emotions, and making healthy choices around substance use. We're going to teach them how being healthy and drug-free, how that will help them to become the people that they were meant to be. 1 in 5 adolescents will struggle with a mental illness. 50% of those mental illnesses will have an onset before the age of 14 years old. Right now, suicide is the 2nd leading cause of death for 10 to 24-year-olds. SYFS has responded to these startling statistics by applying for and being awarded a grant 3 years ago in September of 2015 from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration to implement youth mental health first aid. Many of you in this room I have seen come through this training, so you know how impactful this training is. Mental health first aid is an 8-hour public education program that introduces participants to the very unique risk factors and warning signs of the early onset of mental illness in adolescents. We use simulations, we use role play, and people leave that course with an actionable plan that they can put into place to identify and intervene with a young person who may be struggling with mental illness, substance use, or an emotional crisis. We have not only met our federal grant goals for this program of training 500 community members over those 3 years, but we have far exceeded those numbers. Currently, we have trained 650 adults in our community, parents, teachers, faith-based leaders, educators, other caring community members, and we have effectively linked over 375 adolescents to the services that they need to stop the progression of or onset of mental illness. So that remains one of our most impactful and effective programs. But that doesn't tell the whole story about that program. The numbers are fabulous and impressive. But what makes that program rewarding and impactful is that when we walk into a room full of confused and frightened parents or concerned educators, and we can connect and teach them how to look at behavior through a different lens, and suddenly they see a different child. And they not only know what needs to be done, but they are confident that they can do it. That is the true reward and impact of that program. And in an age where 70% of our workforce will experience depression, and we lose 35 million workdays per year due to mental illness, SYFS recognizes that we also need to teach adults how to assist each other. And for that reason, we're adding adult mental health first aid to our programming, which we're very excited about. Whether you are helping a friend, a family, a coworker, being able to identify and intervene and assist the people around you is imperative. And we will continue these trainings long beyond our grant funding because there is such a great need for it and because it is so impactful. And until we are talking about mental illness the same way, as openly and as freely as we talk about any other disease, our mission won't be complete. I hope that you will all find a time to come and attend one of those classes. So we have been able to accomplish so much in our little building at 240 Maple Avenue. However, we are not naive. This work is challenging. Our wait lists are far too long, as Tom mentioned. Our resources and our facility are severely limited. It is painful for each and every one of us inside that building to answer the phone every day and to hear a client saying they need help and for us to respond by saying, I'm sorry, you have to wait. So of course, with expansion will come an increased effort in our fundraising. We'll be seeking not only foundation and federal grant funding, but we will be restructuring our sponsorship levels and moving away from event-specific sponsorship to annual organizational sponsorship with participation available at many different levels. And I hope that you will all join us as we move toward our next level of capacity and effectiveness in the agency. There are a few people I'd like to point out in the room today. If you wouldn't mind standing when I introduce you. Jennifer Trites, our Director of Clinical Services. Jennifer Business Manager. Lynn has been with us also in her third year. Jennifer Flagg, our newest addition, is Administrative Assistant. Our clinical interns, Jacqueline Bradley, Jennifer Murphy, Allison Shea, Marie Vasquez, and Cora Spillman, and Amina Lazumi, who's been with us today. Our fee-for-services clinicians, Judith Tully, Anna Chittum, Rachel Baldino, Emily Van Ness, and Jennifer Luke, who are not here with us today. These faces, these people, these are not the people you're going to see about town shouting about our mission and cheerleading for us. These are the people who are inside those 4 little brick walls, quietly carrying out this work, counseling our children who are expressing thoughts of suicide, helping their clients process trauma, fixing broken family relationships. That's the work that is done in that building, and I am humbled and honored to work alongside these people who have chosen kindness and compassion and love as their career every day. Thank you for all of the work that you do here. Although the agency has undergone some major changes over the last couple of years, these people did not waver. Well, they may have wavered momentarily, but they're back on board. Heads down, and they're carrying out the work that needs to be done. But that is only half of the team, and half of the team could never be successful. And the other half of our team are all of you here in this room today. Our volunteers, our supporters, our donors, our Donnie Greens, our sponsors. Without all of you, none of this work that we're doing would happen. Without all of you, an opportunity for us to carry out this meaningful work that we have chosen, that we are so passionate about, would not be possible. So thank you for all that you do for us. I hope that we can count on your continued support. You will all be hearing from me as we move forward and fundraise for our expansion and effectiveness, and we appreciate all your support. Hannah Kane, who works tirelessly and effortlessly and somehow has 10 hours more in her days than everybody else has. I don't know how she does it, but we'd like to congratulate you and thank you. Nobody's more deserving of this award, and the work that you do not only for SYFS, but for the community in general is such an inspiration to all of us, and thank you for all that you do. Thank you.
Good morning. How appropriate it is that we gather today to discuss the state and future of SYFS, and we, at the same time, honor a true leader of the Harry S. Cutting Jr. Award. Our 2018 recipient not only steps up to the plate time and time again on behalf of both the social and economic challenges that our communities endure, but she never shies away from taking an ardent swing in order to tackle a pending or potential issue, whether it's large or small. Established by Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services in 1990 to honor one of the agency's founders and noted Shrewsbury philanthropist Harry Cutting Jr., this award is given to, quote, recognize the members of the community who, through their outstanding commitment and contributions, embody the spirit of giving, community service, and support for the Shrewsbury community. When the board of directors first discussed Hannah as an award for this recipient for this award, the discussion quickly turned to a vote, and without much discussion necessary. This is because recognizing Hannah for this award has been a long time coming. Her commitment to Shrewsbury is inarguable, and her contributions long-lasting. Long before she was elected into office, Hannah spearheaded fundraising initiatives to better the lives of our children in our community, and those who are less fortunate as well. For nearly 2 decades, Hannah has served, and continues to do so, as a town meeting member, on our local boards, community panels, educational forums, and development committees. As a state representative, she has used her role and network to continue to do more for the community and its most vulnerable populations. Hannah has hosted events that celebrate our seniors and honor our veterans. She continues to host the golf tournament that then State Representative and now Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito started, followed by then State Representative and now Secretary Beaton. Helping the Westboro Food Pantry, SYFS, and St. Anne's Human Services. Hannah has fought tirelessly to educate our communities on the real concerns in legalizing marijuana, recreational marijuana. As both a member of the Central Massachusetts Opioid Task Force and a member of the Shrewsbury Coalition for Addiction Prevention and Education, Hannah has also hosted panels for our community to learn how to combat the opioid epidemic. Hannah's reach is far and it is deep. And closest to home for SYFS, she has been instrumental in working to find us a permanent location to continue to strengthen the agency's reach in our communities and fulfill our dire need to expand counseling, mental health, and programming services. Hailing former Massachusetts Governor Paul Cellucci as the mentor who inspired Hannah to run for office, giving back to others through community service remains a priority of the highest regard to her. She, along with her husband Jim as a selectman of Shrewsbury, lead as shining examples to their 3 children, Madison, Caitlin, and Patrick, of what community means, how important gratitude is, and how your abilities to make life just a little bit better for everyone when and wherever you can are so important. Hannah has perfected the art of critically listening to details and as a result, creating solutions. Her persistence drives her to come from a place of yes. She is adamant about and dedicated to consistently being present for and engaged in the celebrations, remembrances, and events of historical significance in our communities. Given that Hannah is also one of my very best friends, it isn't today an opportunity I would ever miss to embrace her accomplishments and presenting them. But I don't simply stand here as her friend, I stand here as an admirer on behalf of the board of directors and all of us for the ways that she has served us so well and made us so proud. Her passion for the community and her support for our town is crystal clear. She truly embodies this award as the spirit of giving. There was a moment's pause when fitting all of her endeavors onto that 5x7 card seemed impossible. That we would instead need multiple cards. I imagined them bound together, which we would then refer to as the Encyclopedia Britannica. But just when you do manage to squeeze all of those boards, commissions, foundations, and events onto that card, albeit in a 1-point font, and temporarily bask in the joy of overcoming the feat, the House Minority Leader's office emails you with 2 more appointments she's received. That's our Hannah. So without further ado, I give you the recipient of Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services 2018 Harry S. Cutting Jr. Award, State Representative Hannah Caden.
Thank you very much. Melissa, thank you. That was beautiful. And Karen, thank you so much for your extremely kind words as well. It is an honor to receive this award, and quite frankly, it's an honor to be on the Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services Board. I so look forward to working with all of my colleagues there in an effort to help this agency, which is so critical in our community. Melissa, I'm so grateful that you joined the board and that you are using your sharp mind and your boundless commitment to helping others in the new role that you're on as a vice chair of our board, and I thank you for all that you are doing in that role. Thank you to all my friends, colleagues, and collaborators here today. This room is full of people I respect and seek to emulate, and I am grateful to live in a community that consistently shows its common bond of caring for our great town and those who live here. Karen and Matt had to leave. I think he had to go for another tough day in the Berkshires, we'll miss him. But we share a deep love of Shrewsbury and a commitment to community service and the common bond of public service. I cherish our friendship, and I thank you, Karen, for founding and Matt for expanding the golf tournament that has had such a critical impact
on this agency. To be given this award is to join a list of deeply inspiring individuals and organizations in our community, including several here today. In addition to Karen, we have Art Dobson and Mike Gregory and Bob Jakes. I apologize if I've missed anyone else, who have received the Harry S. Cutting Award. And I'm honored to be counted among them, along with two other role models of mine who are very near and dear to me, Elaine LeBlanc and Ted Coughlin. I pray that I have Elaine's energy and impact long into my golden years that she does, and Ted Coughlin will always loom large in my life as a man who simply focused on helping others because it was the right thing to do. While I deeply regret not having had the pleasure of knowing or volunteering with Harry Cutting, his mark on our community is strong and his presence is felt, and I am deeply grateful for his enormous and lifelong impact on our community. No one stands here, though, to accept this award based solely on their own contributions. It's the collaborative effort of many, and I want to thank all of you here who have graciously allowed me to be part of opportunities to share my talents towards the betterment of our community that we all love. And to my friends who I may have cajoled or sponsors who I may have harassed along the way, thank you. I also would like to acknowledge and thank my legislative aide, Jessica Bellevue, who's here, who shares a strong sense of community service and whose work ethic, great empathy and compassion for others, and her intellect make her a true legislative partner, and I am grateful for the opportunity to work with someone each day whom I learn so much from. Finally, I'm thrilled to have my husband Jim, my children, our children, Madison, Caitlin, just to clarify, Madison, Caitlin, and Patrick, and my parents-in-laws here today. It is with your support, encouragement, and example that I'm able to devote my time and energy to helping out in areas that I feel passionate about and that you show me are truly important to being a member of the fabric of a community. And I will not look at my father again during this thing. Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." For me, living in Shrewsbury, representing two great communities, collaborating with so many people in this room on a variety of causes and issues in our communities in the Commonwealth, and enjoying it all with my husband and three wonderful children, is more than I could have dreamed of when I first came across Eleanor's quote while a college student. My desire to be involved and help out when I can and where I can did not start 20 years ago, though, upon moving to Shrewsbury. Like many of you, wanting to give back to others was learned behavior, heavily influenced by my childhood experiences and the values instilled in me by my family. I didn't grow up in a community the size or structure of Shrewsbury. I grew up on a dirt road in southern Maine with two younger brothers and one friend on my street, Andy, who was my age. I spent all day, every day outside being a tomboy. Down the street from me, the town barber, Charlie Rainsborough, kept a barn with cows and horses, and as soon as he began to pull in each evening to care for the livestock, I was on my bike pedaling furiously to meet him at the barn doors and help him feed the cows, muck out the stalls, pump water from the spring, and throw hay down from the loft. In the summer, I helped him hay all his fields with his best friend Harley, whom I should also note was in his 80s. Charlie, Harley, and I would head out on the 1950-era tractor with a flat hay bed attached. With pitchforks, we piled the hay high on the flatbed until it got to about 10 to 12 feet tall. This was on top of the flatbed already being 3 to 4 feet off the ground, at which point they would fling me up on top of the hay, and I would spend the rest of the afternoon tamping down the hay pile and making room, while Charlie and Harley would continue to furiously swing their pitchforks at me so that I could tamp the hay down. This was clearly not an OSHA-approved job site, and looking back on it now, I'm equally mystified as to how my parents thought this was a good idea, and quite frankly, just how I survived. But what I remember most about my time with Charlie and Harley is the joy I felt helping them in accomplishing simple tasks together, and the realization that even small efforts can yield significant satisfaction, particularly if you're able to enjoy and learn from the people you're with, even if your role models are 70+ years older than you. Growing up, I was extremely fortunate to have both sets of my grandparents living within 4 miles from me, and they each made a profound impact on me, as people who had been through difficult times in their lives, and yet who each spent enormous amounts of time devoted to helping others and serving in the community. through their involvement in our church, in the schools, in civic groups, and in youth sports. My grandmothers were members of the Fortnightly Club, a women's club in town where all the women were listed, to my great annoyance even as a young girl, by their husbands' first names in the directory, Mrs. Bud Sharp and Mrs. Sumner Libby. Equally perplexing to me was the requirement in their bylaws that there always be 3 kinds of pickles served at any luncheon. And yet they were impactful. My grandfather Sharp sold Bluebird buses to schools and founded the town Little League, and my grandfather Libby was the night manager at Central Maine Power when he wasn't building homes, driving an ambulance, helping out at church, or working in his enormous football-sized field vegetable garden. I grew up thinking then, and still believe today, that being able to share my childhood with my 4 grandparents was pretty special. And so much of whom I am today, and what I value, I can trace directly to them. Their efforts to help others in the community always inspired me. My parents have always been tremendous role models and were outstanding educators and school administrators. And my father still is, as apparently it is not in his DNA to retire, despite proclaiming to do so multiple times now. And my father encourages this as it preserves her sanity. As a child, I loved visiting their schools, classrooms, offices, and going to watch high school sporting events with my dad. While I clearly knew at a young age that my personality was not conducive to the teaching profession, I was determined to find a way to continue having an impact on public education with my own particular skill sets. Little did I know that I would be rescued, as Jim likes to call it, and marry someone with such a similar upbringing and sense of responsibility to give and to serve. Jim, who was blessed to be surrounded by his 4 grandparents, who also instilled in him the importance of helping others and hard work, with his grandfather Kane being a World War I vet and a 40-year-plus member of the Marlborough School Committee with a school named after him. Jim's parents were also devoted educators and school administrators, and yet Jim is just as unsuitable to the teaching profession as am I. Jim and I felt a deep sense of responsibility to set a strong example for our children, and we're very proud of their own early efforts to make a positive impact on others. Our daughters, Madison and Caitlin, have been involved in our church youth group's mission trips, and this year Madison is serving as an SYFS, a liaison board member, an opportunity to work together on a board that I cherish. And not to be undone, or outdone, Patrick is part of the Sherwood Senior Friends group, spending time with our senior community members, like his dad. When our daughter Caroline was stillborn, Jim and I were determined to help celebrate her short presence in our lives with an annual memorial scholarship in her name at Shrewsbury High School. Each year we choose a graduating young woman who exhibits a positive spirit, a joy of life, and who has made a substantial contribution as a community member, as a way to honor Caroline's continued presence in our lives and the impact another young woman is making on others. Our community, and indeed our country, have long depended on people helping each other and making a difference. And truly bettering the world around us does not require anything more than a simple willingness to act. I believe that President John F. Kennedy said it best when he challenged everyone. My fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. It is a question I continually pose to myself. I feel blessed to live in this wonderful community where my desire to contribute is shared by so many others, many of whom have become my closest friends, mentors, and collaborators. I absolutely love being involved and will never cease looking for ways to make a difference. Thank you again to the Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services Board for this tremendous honor in bestowing this award on me. I will never forget your generous words, all of you here today, and I will always endeavor to meet the expectations of those of us honored with the legacy left by Harry S. Cutting, Jr. Thank you.
We present the award. Just read the Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services hereby honors Representative Hannah Kane with the 2018 Harry S. Cutting Jr. Award. This award is given to recognize members of the community who, through their outstanding commitment and contributions, embody the spirit of giving, community service, and support for the Shrewsbury community. Senator Moore.
Thank you, Senator Moore, for the citation as well. That was very sweet of you. Thank you. I will just add that, and Karen touched on this in her comments, the opportunity to be a public servant in Massachusetts, I think, is the best place to serve in the country. We operate in such a bipartisan manner, and I'm really honored to be able to work with so many folks on Beacon Hill, but in particular, I want to acknowledge Senator Moore and the strong partnership we have in representing Shrewsbury, and also my colleagues who are here today, David Meridian, who represents Grafton and other communities, and Representative Kim Ferguson of Holden, who's a dear friend who represents a little bit north of Worcester. Yes, 6 communities. But in all honesty, I hope that you all get to witness in this state what you don't see going on in many others, and certainly not at the national level. It is something really special about Massachusetts, and I'm honored to be a part of it and to serve with you all. Thank you for being here, guys.
And in the spirit of bipartisan friendship, I'd like to ask Representatives Meridian and Ferguson to come forth for another citation for Representative Kane.
We were actually going to roast her at this point, but it is 9 o'clock, so we have to move it along. But it is truly a pleasure to be here with all of you today to honor our great friend and colleague, someone who oftentimes, we tease each other that we were like sisters, and we just finally met, 10 years ago. So it is truly an honor to be here, and, we've heard it all today. We've heard so much about Hannah's amazing contributions, how she has aspired to live her life, how she gives back, and we witness it every single day. She makes us better because of how she conducts herself and her professionalism and the high standards that she holds herself to. So I know I'm a much better person already just for knowing her the last 10 years. And I have to say one more thing. The folks sitting here at this table and Hannah's in-laws are at the table behind her. All of you are also such an integral part of her life. I hope you know that. We spend so much time with her. We hear it every single day, that she couldn't do this without your love and support. And, oftentimes you're behind the scenes trying to help. And Jim, you are more than Hannah Kane's driver. We hear that frequently, but, we truly have to thank all of you for sharing her with us because we get to benefit from that. So thank you, and I couldn't be more happier.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for having this event so close to the Grafton line. I greatly appreciate it. And excuse my raspy voice. I was cheering on the Patriots a little too enthusiastically. It's wonderful to be here today to the roast of Jim. I'm sorry to recognize Hannah for all of your endeavors. It's certainly unbelievably deserving. And Senator Moore, I know, did present a citation, not to be outdone. We also have a Massachusetts House of Representatives citation. Now I'm going to tell you a very funny story quickly. Once the Baker-Polito administration took office, they tabbed one of Shrewsbury's finest, Matt Beaton, to become the Secretary of Energy and Environment. And until we were lucky enough to get Representative Kane elected, Shrewsbury was kind of the land of the lawless, and we didn't have a state representative. And Chairman Jim Kane of the board reached out to me because I believe Senator Moore had a prior commitment, and he said, Dave, you're next door. Would you mind coming to an Eagle Scout presentation and giving a citation? I said, certainly. And truthfully, in my political career, that was the first ever citation I gave, not to anyone in my district, but to someone in Shrewsbury. So I have an affinity to Shrewsbury and all that it entails. But without further ado, the official Commonwealth of Massachusetts citation reads, "The House of Representatives, be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to State Representative Hannah King. In recognition of your tireless work and tremendous efforts in representing your community, as well as your long-standing and incredible support of SYFS. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors. Given today, it's signed by the Speaker of the House, Robert DeLeo, myself, Representative David Meridian, Representative Kim Ferguson. Hannah, congratulations.
Well, thank you all so very much, not only for coming, but staying and joining in the celebration for Hannah. And hope you all learned a little bit more about SYF and a lot more about Hannah that we all learned about tonight. So maybe there's going to be a new Shrewsbury tradition of a hayride. So again, thank you. We wanted to get you out of here at 9 o'clock, and we came pretty close. So thank you again.